goodness, what an incredible comeback. Literally a historic comeback that really no one believed in. In fact, including in the locker room, Pat Surtain said he had lost hope. I'll tell you, about half the fans in the stadium had lost hope because they left when the Broncos were down early in the fourth quarter at about the 10-minute mark when the Giants scored. It was over. That's what everyone thought, but not some of the Broncos. They kept the faith. They kept fighting. And as Nick said after the game in the locker room, he's still giddy. He was wearing his grills, and he just could not believe what just happened. And I think that's going to be how Broncos Country feels for, honestly, this entire next week. How in the world did that happen? There's so much history surrounding this when it's the first time. It's the most points a team has scored in a fourth quarter, 33, after scoring 0 in the first 3 quarters. It's one of the biggest comebacks in NFL history. The teams were 1,602 straight wins, win up 18 points or more with 6 minutes left in the game. The Broncos broke that streak today. They broke Brian Dable, who's breaking chairs in the Giants locker room. They broke Brian Burns, who's just in disbelief, mumbling to himself about how in the world did they drop 8 on that. And it was truly the perfect day to do it when Benny Fowler and the Super Bowl 50 champs were there to be honored, and Demaryius Thomas. And boy, was it a special day, starting at 11:30 when they unveiled Demaryius Thomas's pillar outside the stadium, and then at halftime when they unveil it, and then the comeback. You cannot get better than this. And I'll tell you what, being in that locker room, talking to Sean Payton, talking to everyone in this locker room, this is another culture-changing win, and it's really incredible that the Broncos had one of these 2 weeks ago. They were able to grind out a game last week. Wasn't really culture-changing, but then this one is like, oh my goodness, is bone, like, in terms of we're never out. You can never count us out. Down 19-0, down 18 points with 5 minutes left. And then the Broncos score to get the lead. All the emotions are through the air. Everyone, it could almost let their guard down. Somehow the defense allows them to score a touchdown, but it doesn't matter because all the Broncos needed was 2 plays to Marvin Mims and to Courtland Sutton at the end. And then Will Lutz comes on and does what Will Lutz does, nails that field goal at the end. But guys, a huge part of this, I'm just going to keep talking because I don't think can you guys hear me? No, you guys can't hear me, so I'm just going to keep talking here. So one of the other things that we learned after the game was that final play to Courtland Sutton was more special than you realize because they installed that play yesterday. And Sean Payton called Courtland Sutton up to his office this week and said, I've got a play. If we get in a situation where we need a chunk play, whether it's in the first, second, third, fourth, clutch time of a game, I'm going to dial this play up. And he showed Courtland this play over and over again, different variations of it, and said, this is the play that we are going to call. Sure enough, what do? They call that play. Courtland comes up huge. Bo said, but when he left his feet, he knew that Courtland Sutton was coming down with that ball, and that's exactly what he did. Bo said this is the first time that this play has been run live by the Broncos, and man, it was special. There was mile-high magic here in this building on a very special day for DT.
Can you hear us?
I got you.
What did Sean have to say after the game with all that went down? Because I think, it's as crazy as it gets. And if there's anyone who's going to be under fire for how crazy that got, I think Sean's going to be top 3 on that list.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. Nick Bonito told him after the game, Sean, smile. And he said, fine, I'll smile. That's how Sean was after the game. He's not really enjoying this as much as you would think because he knows how bad it was in the first 3 quarters and how good the defense was at times, and then how the defense did not come up when the Broncos needed them the most, and then how bad the offense was. Unexistent. They did nothing in the first 3 quarters, and then they came up huge, scoring 33. So Andre, he knows just how much there is to fix. But as Sean and the players said, you want to fix things after a win, not a loss. But Sean is really going to, he talked in the past when he was hired. He said, sometimes when things are going too well, you need to create emergencies. Sean Payton is going to create an emergency to get everyone on their toes after this game because he is not going to be a fun person to be around tomorrow in this Broncos building. He is going to set the players straight, not let them get too high from this win and not start overlooking any teams, because he knows just how bad this was. So he was actually, I felt like I was talking to a coach just after a loss, after they had 0 points in the first three quarters. I thought we were talking to him in that case. After the game, I asked Bo, just has he wrapped his mind around just how crazy this win is and all the history surrounding? And he said, man, I'm still trying to prime myself out of talking to you guys after being shut out, because he was worried about that through three quarters. And so Sean was not an excited, happy coach after this, when the players, on the other hand, were. And the players did acknowledge, like, we got to play a lot better. But they are really enjoying this win, as they should. That 24-hour rule that Benny knows about, you enjoy it for 24 hours and then you move on. Sean's going to make sure that they move on early in the morning tomorrow. I'll tell you that.
Hey, Zach, what did Sean say, or what did anybody, or Bo, Sean or Bo, what did they say about the first half play calling, or the first three quarters? What did they say about the play calling, and what really worked for them more in the fourth? What did they talk about that?
Well, Benny, it's a great question. And one thing Sean Payton does not want anyone to say is tempo. He literally said that because he was asked that exact question, Benny. He was asked what was different in the fourth quarter, and he said, we went to a 2-minute offense. And then he said, and I don't want to hear the word tempo, because he does not want to change and just be a fully tempo offense. But that changed. That is what changed the Broncos. It went up tempo, and that is just because you go more up tempo now doesn't mean that you don't have to, or that you're locked into that for the rest of Bo's career. But clearly, guys, that's what Bo needs, scoring 33 points in the fourth quarter when you go more up tempo. And they were still huddling at times. It wasn't fully no huddle, but they had no rhythm in the first three quarters. And it's extremely concerning. And I mean, that's how I view this game. It's an incredibly historic comeback win. But if the Broncos don't change things, they're not going to have these Super Bowl aspirations like Sean Payton believes. But they've won, and they're 5-2. They're first place in the AFC West. This is where you want to be learning from a position like this. So, Benny, whatever you say, just don't say tempo, okay? Because that's going to piss Sean off.
Sean shouldn't watch the show, because that's all we talked about in the first segment.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean it was a very interesting dynamic here, with Sean being like coming off a loss, it felt like, yet the players enjoying this, as I think they should, of just how historical of a win this was.
Wow.
What's this do for the team's belief? 3 consecutive fourth quarter comebacks to get number one in the standings in the AFC West.
Well, it's everything, Andre, and it's exactly the opposite of what they did last year. Last year, they won a lot of games, but they lost every single close game, and it dates back to just a couple of weeks ago, a month ago. We're talking about how the Broncos still can't win close games. They're like 2-9 since Bo Nix got here in one-score games. Well, that's kind of completely gone out the window now in the best way possible. The Broncos believe that they can win these games, and not only close games, but they believe that they're always in a game, just like with John Elway. And that was what I was pointing to earlier. John Elway, the first 3 quarters of many games did not look good, but in the fourth quarter, he would turn it on. So his teammates just always thought that there was a belief. Pat Surtain said he lost hope at one point in this game. I doubt he's ever going to lose hope in a game again with Bo and this offense there. And so I'll tell you what, this does a lot for the team. And before I get out of here, guys, I just want to make sure that I get this in. Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonito held a joint press conference after the game, and we know all the stuff that was talked with Jonathan Cooper, Nick Bonito, and the Giants defenders. I don't know if you guys saw, but Nick Bonito took to Twitter right after the game to say that 51-5 got out of there so fast that he couldn't talk to him after the game. So he threw shade. He's recently deleted that. But after all Jonathan Cooper was doing was just smiling because he got the best of the Giants. The Broncos got the best of the Giants in a game that did not look like it was going to go their way. Jonathan Cooper said, look, my comments got taken out of proportion, blown out of proportion last week. I was actually giving Jackson Dart a compliment. And in the background of a video I posted on Twitter, you can hear Nick Bonito just kind of giggling during that. So I can tell you this is a game coming into it. The Broncos really wanted to win with everything that was said and knowing that they were going up against an inferior team. And then the way it played out, oh my goodness, I can only imagine that the celebrations are going to be pretty good tonight.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well,
Oh, wow.
thanks, Zach. We'll be back tomorrow. It just me and you tomorrow, right?
I believe so. Yep, you and me. We're gonna break it down. Looking forward to Henry's film room tomorrow. And guys, it is incredible that the Broncos are in sole possession of first place in the AFC West right now. It's a month ago. We're talking about how everyone is talking about how the AFC West is the Chargers division. Just pack it in. Let's hope the Broncos can fight for a wild card spot. Nope, not now. The Broncos are now a top seed in the AFC and the number 1 seed in the AFC West with a Cowboys team coming in here, and that's going to be a fun game as well. So as Sean Payton will say, enjoy the win tonight, but he is going to be in a bad mood tomorrow in that building, I'm sure.
Perfect.
Zach, great to see you, bro.
Great. Hey, wait, really quick. Shout out to Benny for doing
Yes.
everything today while the Super Bowl 50 stuff is going on. I was waiting to hear like, hey, Benny's going to be at all the Super Bowl 50 stuff, like not going to be with us today. And I would have totally understood that. And the fact that you are doing this, Benny, is so freaking cool. I thought about that multiple times today. So shout out to you for being a Super Bowl 50 champ, but then for joining us today and just being awesome. And also shout out to Henry and Andre as well. Love you guys.
Appreciate
Love
you,
you.
man.
Bye,
Love you too, bro.
Zach.
Best in the biz
Yes.
right there.